Every when should you claim Social Security calculator separate from the rest of your situation is a lie. I'm going to prove it to you in this video. If you're planning to just throw your statement numbers into a simple break-even calculator and claim then, which is usually age 70, there's a 100% chance you're calculating it wrong. A lot of the time you want to take it early, a lot of the time it's a random age and it should be 66 instead of 65. Let me show you why. First, almost every calculator online and even professional softwares looks something like this. We have comparing as early as possible, the dark blue line there, to the light blue line there, which is the optimal strategy. The break-even age almost every single time is going to be between 78 and 81, and the optimal strategy almost every single time is going to tell you to delay all the way to 70. But there's two massive problems with this math, and understanding these could literally save you hundreds of thousands of dollars in retirement. So let's go through these together. First, the calculator in this example here is comparing the amount of money you receive from claiming at 62 versus 70, assuming that when you receive that Social Security check, you put it in a savings account and it is earning 0% interest, or you buried it in the ground. And if you had any additional money in a portfolio that you now don't have to take out so it can stay in the market or wherever else, that money, year over year, compounding, was also earning 0%. That's 0%, nothing. And remember, fixing this and assuming there is some amount of interest on that money as opposed to none is only half the problem. So I'll show why that is again after we show what happens when you do factor in interest, and then ultimately at the end, the two simple steps that you can take to work around both of these issues and ultimately end up with more money in retirement. So this is when you do factor in interest. We are using what is called a net present value calculation. That's what NPV stands for. And a discount rate, or the interest that money would be earning otherwise. We'll make that orange so you can see it there, 6%. And then the net present value of claiming at age 62 is in this column, and the net present value of claiming at age 70 is in this column. As you can see, the net present value is not between 78 and 81 of when they pass each other, if we're assuming 6% discount rate, but it's all the way until age 88. Then, and only then, is the greater NPV age 70. Before then, you can see it's always saying, if we assume that 6%, that 62 actually beats 70 in terms of how much money you ended up with from 62 all the way to 87 until we get to age 88. Then, and only then at that point, does it tell us to choose age 70. Now, if we change the discount rate there to 5%, we can see the break-even age still is at 85, as opposed to the software showing before that it was at age 79. And if we change it to 4%, I won't show it, but it was 83. So assuming if you take the money earlier at 62, that you're not just digging a big hole in your backyard and dumping the money in there, but it's actually earning some interest, the break-even age, when we factor in the net present value calculation, is going to be much farther along than what these zero interest calculators are showing you. The higher the discount rate, of course, the farther that age pushes back, as we saw with a 6% rate, pushing it back all the way to age 88. So let's take a look at the life expectancy calculator that the Social Security Administration has on their website. So we'll say you're about to turn 62, so you were born in 1964, and we'll just say it's in June, a random day, and we'll do it for a male. If we do that, so you're 61 in 4 months, once you turn 62, your additional life expectancy, again as a male, 21.7 years, is 83.7. The lowest break-even age between 62 and 70, when we had it at a 4% discount rate, was 83. If you live until age 67, the additional life expectancy is 18.1 years, meaning your total years is 85.1, meaning still you are only breaking even at that 5% discount rate. And if you make it to age 70, at that point, it's an additional 16 years, which means you still haven't hit the life expectancy of 88 if you're using the 6% discount rate. Now this is a male. If we do the same thing for a female, you can see now when she turns 82, average life expectancy 24.5 years, that's 86.5. At 67, once you've made it to that age, it's until 87.5. Still shorter than the 88-year-old break-even age. Making it to age 70, the female is 88.1 right at about the break-even point using the net present value calculation using a 6% discount rate. Now this might make you think that you should claim at 62, and that may be the best case scenario, but using only the calculations we've used thus far, accounting for interest, using the net present value calculation, still is not solving the entire picture. Why? Because this Social Security break-even calculator, even with the inflation, is looking at Social Security independently of your retirement, your cash flow, and your goals. This is where not Social Security break-even calculators come into play, but holistic retirement calculators. Here's a hypothetical scenario to demonstrate this point. We have this here for Jonathan and Megan. Megan stayed at home, so her entire benefit is based on the spousal benefit she's going to get from Jonathan. So to get her full 50% of Jonathan's primary insurance amount, she's going to take it at age 67. That's the most she can get. For Jonathan, however, he was planning, although retiring at 62, to wait to claim a little bit past 62 so that if he does pass away and something were to happen to him, the survivor benefit's a little bit bigger than it would have been at 62 so that Megan has that there with her. So now with all of that in mind, as well as all of the additional money that they have, the withdrawal strategy, the goals, instead of looking just at a break-even calculator for Social Security, we're looking at this retirement calculator here. We're first showing on screen now what would happen if he kind of ditched the plan of delaying it a little bit and took it at age 62 as early as possible. Now what you're going to notice here is these blue lines, that's Social Security. This is the first full year of his retirement just after 62 where my mouse is. That's because his 62nd birthday is late into this year. The first full year at 62 is here. So the blue is about half of all of the money that he's going to receive that year. The yellow is the amount that he's pulling from his portfolio. So since he takes Social Security here at age 62, for all of these years, that's less money that he has to pull from the portfolio. So it's actually able to take some stress off of the portfolio to perform in those early years, or if there's a downturn, it gives it more time to recover. So this is a potential benefit for him to consider. If we look on the contrary at if they took it at age 70, what happens? You'll see those beginning years, you don't have much blue, you don't have any blue, it's all yellow. This means all of this money up until age 70, he's having to pull it from his retirement portfolio. That means, depending on how much money anyone has, that if the market were to take a larger downturn, this could have a much bigger impact on the probability of them having a successful retirement. So what we can do, now that we understand how both of those work, is we can go over here to this probability tab and show the probability of success at 62 versus 70. The current plan, that is age 62. The probability of success, 60%. The probability of success of them retiring, spending the $3,500 a month on top of healthcare, on top of housing expenses, gives them, claiming at age 70, a 45% probability of success. The Social Security break-even calculator would have showed them they would have received much more money from Social Security if they lived to age 90, 95, if they had waited, but the retirement software says actually that may be true, but your probability of running out of money, of not having a successful retirement is much lower, 15% lower, if you were to claim at 70 as opposed to 62. So this, again, may make you think claiming at 62 is the best option, but you have to play with each individual age and test them all before you make that final decision. Because what if there's an age between 62 and 70 that actually increases this 60% number? I'll let you in on a secret, there is. So if we change it to what Jonathan was originally planning a couple years after, which was 65 for him, and then we have that 67 age for Megan, what happens? The probability of success goes from 60, when you're claiming it at 62, all the way to 75. Now waiting until 65 increased it by another 15%, so you might think, again, might as well go ahead and take it here. We're way higher than we were at 62. We're way higher than we were at 70, but this is where the title of the video comes in. You always are going to want to test every 6 months, every year. If you're delaying, see what's happening in the market, see how that affected things with Social Security, and be willing to adjust. If we adjust this just one more year for him, keeping Megan's the same to 66, the probability of success increases to 81. From 75 to 81 It's about the same if you wait another year to 67, so it's negligible at this point, 82%. If he goes to 68, we'll actually see that probability of success do what? Goes back down to 75. So the difference between him claiming at 62 versus 70, 62 was 15% better. At 62 versus 65 or 68, it was 15% better from 75% down to 60%. If we take that number versus 66 and 67, it was a 6 to 7% difference to 81 and 82%. And remember, this happens. The reason that most calculators fail you is because number one, break-even calculators assume a 0% growth, and number two, even when we use the net present value calculation, it still ignores your holistic situation. So what are the 2 steps that you can take to avoid these very problems? It's exactly what we just showed in this video. First, running your numbers through holistic retirement software. Second, if you're delaying, rerunning those numbers every 6 to 12 months. It's simple, that's it, and remember, we aren't just trying to maximize your Social Security. We are trying to maximize your chance of reaching your goals. So now that you understand the correct holistic way to view and calculate Social Security, click the controversial video on screen now about the mainstream information on finding your purpose in retirement, because this, above all else, matters more than any retirement strategy out there.